Entry 43. I pitched my tent at the mouth of a newly discovered cave today. Weeks on this journey and still, the secrets of the shard weavers elude me. But there's something about this cave, an unseen force. It makes my skin tingle. It thrums in my bones. Something is waiting for me in there. Entry 44. A dream shook me from sleep. A silent call echoed from the cave, urging me to explore further. The pull is still there, as strong as my pounding heartbeat. Strengthened by a simple breakfast, I'm ready to step into the mystery. What secrets could be hiding under the earth? Entry 45. The road to knowledge isn't smooth. There's danger in every step, the ground a tricky adversary. But what I discovered makes it worthwhile. Behind a fallen wall, I found a room filled with strange, twisted machinery circling around a shard pod. Its glow cast shadows that danced around the room. I can't resist. I need to get closer. Entry 46. Standing before the shard pod, I've never felt more alive. Inside the pod, there's a creature like no other, wings folded, its body desiccated. Despite the shiver of fear, I'm drawn to it. I reached out to the pod and made a connection. Visions crashed into me, a wave of memories. I saw the creature in its full glory, alive before the shard weaver's downfall. I witnessed its life, a colorful canvas of emotions and experiences that flowed into me like a river. The vision changed. I saw the shard weavers themselves, slender figures with metallic adornments, their eyes glowing with focus, hands moving with surgical precision, manipulating their machines. When the flood of visions subsided and I disconnected from the shard pod, I was left with no words. The world is not the same anymore. This knowledge needs to be shared. Entry 47. Sleep is a distant dream. I am grappling with what I have learned. Tomorrow, I start my climb back. The world must know about this secret shardweaver hideaway and the sleeping truths it guards. The discovery has given me a glimpse into our collective past and perhaps a hint of what's to come. Tomorrow is another step in this journey. For now, I sit, letting the echoes of the past wash over me.
Entry 1. I spread my wings, feeling the cool air of Skyhold, brushing past me, pulling me towards the sky. The city is a breathtaking maze of valleys and overhangs, homes nestled in crevices and atop plateaus. From the tallest peaks, one can see far into the horizon where the land meets the clear, boundless sky. I'll miss this place, but there is a world beyond these cliffs that beckons me. Entry 5. Bubblebrooke Bay appears below, a canvas of forests, coasts, and plains. The verdant landscape, the winding rivers, the open sea, all more beautiful than I could have imagined. The view from the sky is indeed a privilege. Entry 7. The people of Riverstone have a harmony with the land I hadn't known before. They make their homes amidst the lush woods and babbling brooks, far removed from the towering cliffs of Skyhold. The simplicity is startling. There are no high peaks to climb, no wings to spread. Life is grounded, connected to the earth in ways that are foreign to me. Entry 15. I've begun to appreciate the culture here, so inclusive, so varied. A friendly water draken showed me the art of diving, a skill quite unnecessary in Skyhold, but here it's a dance with the waves, an exploration of the underwater world. The people here sprint and climb with an agility I admire. It's a different sort of freedom, but I'm beginning to understand its charm. Entry 36. Reflections. Living in Riverstone, learning the ways of the forest and water elves, diving into the azure sea, climbing the broad branches of the titanwood trees, I found a piece of myself I didn't know existed. This journey has been more than just a change of scenery. It's been a discovery of new perspectives. I leave this book here beside my favourite cosy seat overlooking Riverstone village. If you find it, may you too be inspired to explore and understand the world beyond your horizons. The beauty of our world is not confined to one place, one culture. It's a mix of experiences, waiting for you to reach out and embrace. Fly high, dive deep, and let your mind roam free. Yours in exploration, Lyria.
The Flora of Bubblebrooke Bay. Introduction. Bubblebrooke Bay, known for its temperate forests, coasts, and plains, teems with vibrant plant life. This guide aims to offer a look of this natural splendour, leading you on a journey from the smallest herb to the towering titanwood. Trees. Titanwood. One of the most majestic sights in the bay, the titanwood sits stoically in the estuary, a truly ancient specimen. Notable for its massive size and rareness, this species has never been successfully propagated. Some scholars believe them to sequester elements and deposit them deep underground, contributing to the health of the surrounding ecosystem and forming underground gas deposits. Herbs and berries. Strawberries, a delight for novice foragers, these small, succulent fruits can be found across the plains of Bubblebrooke Bay. Sporting small white flowers before bearing their sweet red fruit, they are a common sight during the warm season. Dandelions. Although a common plant, their small size and unassuming nature can make dandelions difficult to spot. Their yellow flowers turn into familiar white, fluffy seed heads, which contribute to their proliferation across the Bay Area. Ferns. Common fern. This lush green plant is a common sight on the bay's forest floor. Its unique, feathery fronds unfurl in a spiral, a captivating sight that adds to the rich undergrowth texture of Bubblebrooke's forest areas. Closing remarks. The diversity and beauty of Bubblebrooke Bay's flora are breathtaking. Each plant, from the humble dandelion to the towering titanwood, plays a vital role in the area's ecosystems. This guide merely scratches the surface of what Bubblebrooke has to offer. As the writer, my fascination with the red flora of Crimson Crest continues to grow. I yearn for the day when I can explore its unique vegetation and compare it with our local plants. Until then, I hope this guide proves useful and sparks within you a sense of wonder for the nature that surrounds us.
The Wayshard's Gift by Chloe Wildsong. Chapter 1. The Wayshard's Embrace. My heart raced with anticipation as I approached the Wayshard, its form bathed in the setting sun's golden rays. I removed my shoes, stepping onto the gentle slope of the Wayshard's entrance. A subtle, rhythmic vibration pulsed under my toes as I made my way up. Taking a deep breath, I settled onto the platform, feeling the sensation of calm wash over me. As I focused on my breathing, I felt myself slipping into a state of deep relaxation, and the 3 radial petals of the Wayshard began to close in unison with a soft hum. Closing my eyes, I felt the Wayshard weaving into my mind. The sensation was unlike any other experience, a tingling warmth that enveloped my entire being. I knew this connection was innate to all Shardborn, but it felt deeply personal to me. Opening my eyes, I found myself standing over a vast sea of lights, shimmering like stars against the black sky. Each light was like a window immersing me in breathtaking ecosystems and creatures I could scarcely imagine. I could sense their interconnectivity, the way each species relied on the others to survive and thrive. Amidst the overwhelming sensations, I heard a faint, tiny voice call out. The sound was so small that I almost missed it, but I knew it was important. I reached out with my mind, a well-practiced skill, searching for its source. Focusing my thoughts, a new light expanded and enveloped me. It was different, it was new, and somehow it resonated with something deep within me. It felt like stepping into uncharted territory, a place within the Wayshard, within myself, that I hadn't known before. With a gentle curiosity, I allowed this new connection to take hold, ready to explore its significance. Chapter 2. A Child's Cry. Ash swirled under my toes as my surroundings transformed. My eyes adjusted to see a barren, rocky expanse. The wind whipped at my cloak, and I could hear the cries of a baby carry across the ashen wasteland. I made my way towards the voice, my feet dredging through cold, black ash. I spotted a makeshift crib nestled against a rocky outcrop. As I drew closer, the baby's cries grew insistent. Kneeling beside the crib, I reached out to touch her. Her cries softened. A little forest elf baby looked up at me with bright, curious eyes. I felt an inexplicable kinship with this infant, a connection deeper than any I had felt before, as if she could be my own child. Gently, I pulled her into my arms, feeling the weight of her tiny body against my chest. Her fingers curled around mine, and I gazed down into her eyes. "I'll protect you," I whispered, as I swaddled her in my green linen cloak. But my promise was immediately tested as a fierce wind picked up, pelting us with ash and dust. Determined to keep her safe, I shielded her with my body. As I held her close, I hummed a soft melody, hoping to soothe her unease. My voice grew stronger, and I began to sing the lullaby my mother used to sing to me, the words carrying over the howling wind. "Close your eyes, my precious child, in the forest, sweet and wild. Shards of light will gently fall, bringing love and life to all." With each word, the very air shifted around us. The ash beneath my toes slipped away, replaced by a soft, lush grass. The chirping of birds filled the air, and the scent of damp earth filled my senses. Chapter 3. The Forest's Test. I opened my eyes to find myself standing in the forest where I had grown up. This sanctuary held so many cherished memories. As I looked around, I spotted a girl splashing and playing in a nearby puddle. She wore a simple tunic made of woven fibers, not unlike the ones I used to wear, and her hair was a wild tangle of curls that danced as she played. As she turned to face me, I was struck by how much she resembled the baby from my previous vision. Her laughter and carefree nature filled the air with joy. I noticed a necklace with a small stone around her neck, which glimmered in the sunlight. She held it up excitedly. "Look!" she exclaimed, her eyes filled with wonder. "It's the same color as your cloak!" I could feel our connection, almost nostalgic. As I began to speak, the air grew cold. Something was changing. The once placid puddle beneath her began to pulse, and she suddenly plunged beneath the water's surface. Without hesitation, I shed my cloak and dove after her. The water was cold and murky, and I had to fight to keep my eyes open as I swam deeper and deeper. My hands searched blindly through the water, grasping at anything that might be her. Our fingers met, and I pulled us both from the depths, frantically gasping for air. As I did, her hand slipped away, and I felt the warmth of fresh sheets emerge under my fingers. Coughing and blinking, I tried to clear my vision and take in my new surroundings. I was in a small bed covered in a patchwork quilt. It was exactly like my childhood bedroom, but different, as if touched by someone else. Chapter 4. Memories and Forgiveness. As I climbed out of bed, memories flooded back to me of my childhood and the stories my mother used to tell me about the first people, our ancient ancestors. The quilt was made by her, each square representing a different chapter in our people's history. I picked up my green cloak that lay on the windowsill, folded neatly. Next to it sat a green stone necklace, exactly like the girl's, but aged and worn. I wrapped the cloak around my shoulders and made my way towards the hall. I pushed open the door and stepped into the ruins of my library. A pang of grief and anger overcame me at the sight of the destruction before me. Once filled with books and manuscripts, the shelves were now toppled and my work scattered across the floor. There, amidst the wreckage, stood the girl, now a young woman, her frustration palpable as she hurled a book across the room. "Why did you choose this over us?" she yelled, her voice thick with emotion. Collecting my thoughts, I took a deep breath and replied softly, I never meant to leave you, to choose anything over you. She glared at me, but I could see the sadness in her eyes. But it's clear that I have hurt you, and I am sorry for that. I'm here now, I said, stepping forward slowly and reaching out to touch her shoulder. Her skin was cold and damp. She hesitated for a moment, then broke down in tears. I wrapped my cloak over her shoulder and held her tightly as she poured out her heart. She told me about all the times she needed me and how I was never there, about the struggles she faced on her own, and how much she missed me. I'm sorry, I whispered. I should have been there for you. I should have done better. As we held each other tightly, I knew the responsibility I now held. Chapter 5. A New Purpose. The Wayshard's connection faded and pulled my mind back to the meditation platform. I opened my eyes and took in my surroundings. For a fleeting moment, I felt a sense of loss, as if I had just bid farewell to someone I loved, yet never had the chance to truly meet. But then, the memory of the child's voice returned, faint and distant, but still lingering in my mind. Someday, I would hear that voice. Someday, I would cradle that precious baby in my arms, and I would be there for them, regardless of the challenges that lay ahead. I stepped down from the platform. The soft rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of insects filled the air. The world around me remained the same, but something within me had changed. I took a deep breath, savoring the sensation of the cool air on my skin. I smiled, feeling a sense of anticipation building within me as I journeyed home.
A Sapling Song, a Forest Folktale. Chapter 1. Voribellu's Voice. Voribellu, a girl of wild spirit and leaf-green hair, made her dwelling amid the forest she so loved. Her mother, a powerful shardborn, gifted her an amulet crafted from a green primal shard. This timeless artifact served to deepen Voribellu's ties to the towering titanwoods at the centre of the elven forest. These titanwoods were a marvel, each born not from a seed, but as a gift from the sky. Their wisdom mirrored the depth of their roots and the height of their crowns. Amplified by her shard, Voribellu bonded with these mighty beings, just as any shardborn might bond with a shardpod or wayshard. Of all the titanwoods, a sapling named Lumina held a special place in Voribellu's heart. The two shared a bond formed during Voribellu's younger years, a relationship nurtured with daily visits, shared dreams, and mutual reflection. She would lend an ear to Lumina's gentle stories, a comforting ritual that became an integral part of her mornings. Days flowed into each other as Voribellu spent her time talking to these trees, listening to their tales. This was not a language of words, but of experience. The world was vibrant, full of life, and the titanwoods held it all together. These stories bound her to the forest. She would sit beside Lumina, her fingers tracing the young bark, sharing memories and laughter. To Voribellu, the forest was kin. She was its daughter, its sister, its friend. Chapter 2. A Mastery of Shards. When Voribellu was not with the trees, she honed her craft as a shard seeker. She had a profound understanding of shard pods, an innate ability to foresee their descent, and a knack for repairing damaged ones using scavenged components. Although her mother laid the groundwork, Voribellu's path was guided by her own passion. One afternoon, during an exploration amid the forest's dense undergrowth, she discovered a dormant shardpod cradled in the mossy roots of an ancient titanwood. Its petals were ajar, revealing a fractured primal shard within its heart. With gentle hands, she traced the shard's jagged crack, coaxing it free from its encasement. She rummaged in her pouch to retrieve her assortment of primal shards and metal pieces, relics from previous explorations. With each meticulous adjustment, each precise correction, an audible click marked its rightful place. Embedding a fresh shard into the pod's core, Voribelu sparked the dormant shard pod back to life. The pod hummed its doors, encasing the revitalized core, its exterior emanating a soft blue glow, a sign of gratitude, extending an invitation to Voribelu to form a connection. With a contented smile, Voribelu sat beside the humming shard pod. Relaxing her mind, she willingly opened herself to the pod, allowing a deep, meaningful connection to take root. Chapter 3. An interrupted warning. Reality shifted and morphed around Voribelu, the world transforming as she stepped into a realm where thoughts became tangible and senses painted the air. A realm of ancient memories and guidance. Without warning, a vision seized her. She saw the evening sky overhead. Ribbons of light danced and twirled at the horizon. The sight was mesmerizing, imbued with vibrant colors. Yet beneath this beauty was a creeping dread, a sense of foreboding that hung heavily in the air. A sensation like static buzzed across her skin, hair standing on end from the mounting energy. The titanwoods in the distance appeared to shimmer as lightning crackled, an undercurrent of energy pulsing through their bark, branching towards the sky. Shadows began to lengthen, taking on ominous shapes as they stretched across the ground. Voribelu watched, silently. "Why are you showing me this?" she asked curiously. The sky began to shatter into a fiery downpour. It was a harsh contrast to the serene descent of shard pods she had previously observed. These fell like molten tears, chaotic, piercing the tranquility of the sky with their violent descent. Suddenly, a wave of sharp pain cut through her mind, the shard-born connection brutally severed, catapulting her back into the physical realm. Her world began to dim, slipping into darkness, but not before she glimpsed a blinding aurora dancing above the forest canopy. Chapter 4. The Quiet Aftermath. As the break of dawn cast its first light, Voribelu woke up to an unnerving quiet, the air imbued with a metallic tang and a hint of charred earth. The usually vibrant forest was strikingly silent, the absence of Lumina's familiar whispering voice echoing with a sense of dread. Driven by a pounding heart, she dashed through the underbrush towards Lumina. Upon reaching the small glade that usually housed the lively titanwood sapling, a chilling sight met her eyes. Lumina's leaves, once a lush spectacle, were now withered, and a terrible, jagged crack disfigured her robust bark. A shiver ran down Voribelu's spine as she laid her trembling fingers on Lumina's bark. The crack was more severe than she had imagined. Swallowing her fear, she carefully peeled away some of the loose bark, revealing an alarming sight. Lumina's heart and now exposed shard core was damaged, its weakened light peering dimly through the crevices. The sight of Lumina's broken core was a heart-wrenching reality that Voribelu struggled to accept. Still, she couldn't merely stand idle, watching her friend suffer. She knew she had to act. Rummaging in her bag, she retrieved a regular primal shard along with her tools for mending. With hands that had always been steady now shaking, she began the delicate process of extracting the cracked shard from Lumina's core. She worked with the same careful precision she applied to fixing shard pods. Try as she might, the primal shards stubbornly refused to meld with Lumina's core. No matter the angle or configuration she attempted, the connection wouldn't hold. Her heart sank with each unsuccessful attempt, but she pushed on, fueled by desperation and resolve. Chapter 5. Voribelu's Gift. As the sun lowered its gaze, leaving the world to twilight, Voribelu worked tirelessly to mend Lumina. With each failed attempt, the shards rejecting Lumina's core, a sense of fatigue and despair gnawed at her. Exhausted, she cradled Lumina's broken shard, her heart heavy with a sinking hope. In the midst of this despair, her gaze landed on her emerald shard amulet. The primal shard within it had a unique bond with the forest, and in a fleeting moment of clarity, she wondered if it could be the cure for Lumina's ailment. The thought filled her with dread. Losing her amplified bond with the forest was unthinkable. But Lumina wasn't just any tree. She was a friend. The weight of her mother's promise resonated as she unclasped the amulet. She could almost see her mother's smile, feel the warmth it brought, and hear the promise to protect the forest. It was now, when the forest needed her most, when Lumina needed her, that she had to uphold that promise. Hands trembling with resolve, she placed the amulet shard into Lumina's core. An immediate response met her actions as a radiant light wrapped around Lumina. The sapling's core pulsed with newfound energy, the once pale light now gleaming with a vibrant emerald hue. Voribelu watched as the transformation took hold of Lumina. Slowly, imperceptibly, the leaves regained their lush vitality and the cracking bark gleamed with life. Lumina was healing, but the joy of this sight was short-lived as a profound emptiness washed over her. The forest's whispers grew silent, and she was left in deafening solitude. Drained, Voribelu slumped against Lumina. Her tears seeped into the healing bark as she surrendered to exhaustion, sleep pulling her into a silent embrace. Chapter 6. Rebirth. Awakening to an unfamiliar silence, Voribelu found her cheek against Lumina's strong bark. The silence was a stark contrast to the life-filled voices of the titanwoods that once filled her ears. Looking around at the vibrant woodland life, at Lumina's lush, revived leaves, and the slowly waking forest, a bittersweet pride swelled within her. She had paid a high price, yet saved Lumina, preserved a piece of the woodlands she so cherished. She sat beside Lumina. With a gust of wind, the sapling seemed to reach out to comfort her. Tears welled in her eyes, but not out of mourning. There was a song in the wind, a melody in the rustling leaves, a rhythm in the swaying branches. The forest was speaking to her, not through her mind, but through her senses. Voribelu closed her eyes and listened. The whisper of the leaves, the melody of the wind. The heart of the forest beat in harmony with hers, and in that moment she realized she had never truly lost her connection. She was still a part of the forest, as much as the forest was a part of her. In the silence of her thoughts, the forest thrummed with life. She was Voribelu, the beacon illuminating the forest's beauty, the silent listener, the voiceless whisperer. And even without her green primal shard, she would always remain connected to the forest.